Hey guys, it's me. I made it. I made it to Washington State and rode in probably about 1 o'clock, 1:30 this afternoon, and came upon this little small sign, uh, "Welcome to Washington State," and I pulled off into like a little exit, a little rest park there off the exit, and sat back and just kind of sat and thought for a while about how blessed and lucky I am to be able to do this. And I saw a couple there. They were standing by the sign. I asked if they'd take a picture, and I explained, told them my story, what I was doing, and why I was doing it. And the lady, she started crying, and I started crying, and it was just it was it was an emotional time. I don't even know who these folks are, and probably gave them a story of a lifetime to tell their friends and family about some old man they met at the rest park up there that everybody's sobbing because of this journey story. But before I get too far into it, I want to make sure that I thank those responsible for this, and I want to thank Amy first and foremost for being my best supporter. She is the best human being I know. She is wonderful. I've been married to her for 32 years, and it's been 32 of the best years of my life. So I appreciate her. I love her. Probably love her more today than I did when I first met her. I just adore that woman, and she's put up with me for 32 years, and you can almost imagine how that would be. Uh, Secondly, I like to thank Caitlin. Caitlin's been my inspiration for a lot of things. I'm going to get into kind of a lengthy story here about how I achieved this and how I got it done. But she helped me be a dad. She helped me understand what it was like to be a dad, not a provider. And that's what I was before. I was a provider. I wasn't a communicator, didn't really know much about it. And she helped me understand that along with her mom, Amy. They taught me how to be a dad, and Amy taught me how to be a good husband. And I don't know what else to say. I mean, I just admire, love, appreciate those two immensely. So thank you to Mom. Thank you for everything. Thank you for your support. Thank you for helping me out. Thank you for being there. She, I called her on the phone, and she was so excited about me being there that we both kind of got excited. So it's pretty cool. Uh, to get into it, though, I want to let you understand that this is not the 50 states. We're not done in a vehicle, in a Jeep, or camping along the way or anything like that. The 50 states started out with my first airplane ride to Lackland Air Force Base. And that was a fun experience. It was a lot more fun on the plane than it was on the bus, but I got to Lackland Air Force Base, and from there I went to Denver, Colorado. So that was my second airplane ride. And from that point forward, I really didn't realize that I'd be doing as much traveling and making it to all these states that I did. The other thing was working with state police. I did a lot of traveling with them. Again, like you guys know, and some of you don't, but I worked narcotics for 13 years, street level and upper level narcotics for 13 years, and went and helped a lot of the federal agencies, and they flew me around a lot. As a matter of fact, I was worked several investigations where I was able to use the governor's plane to fly different locations: New York City, Atlanta, Georgia, down into Texas, and that. So that helped. That helped start the movement of these states. Then, of course, the local states around me, that was easy as far as that goes. Florida, everybody goes to Florida, Georgia, those type of things. Ohio, I'm not going to get in all, but you know what I'm talking about, the Midwest there. And then I ended up going to, with the state police, ended up going to Fort Indian Town Gap, Pennsylvania, where I taught. I was going, I take that back. It wasn't the teaching at that time, but I attended. I had a couple of detectives that will work in a white collar crime case, and I haven't been involved in that for many years. So I thought, well, I'll go with them just to get acquainted, to get get some new ideas, get some thoughts about how to go about that. Maybe I can help them by understanding a little bit more and getting refreshed on some of the current techniques. So I get there and I go to the class, and there's the instructors there, and he's going through his instruction, and he's doing a great job, And about the break, he comes up to him and he asked me, he says, "What are you doing here?" I was like, well, I explained to him, that I was there with a couple of my detectives and that, and I told him, I said, as a matter of fact, I wouldn't mind doing what you do. I said, I do instruction for the Indiana State Police. I do training for them, and I wouldn't mind doing this as a part-time job and maybe look at it as a retirement position. He said, okay. He says, well, hey, he said, send me a resume. And I was like, yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll do that. So I sent him a resume, and lo and behold, he hires me. And that guy was Thomas Maioli. He retired from law enforcement there in Pennsylvania, and he hired me, and we worked with Alutiiq out of Anchorage, Alaska, which was wild. They did a lot of training for law enforcement, and I became a part of that team, and it was great. That afforded me opportunity to teach, travel, go to many states doing that. As it went along, Tommy introduced me to a guy named Steve Todoric, and Steve and I hit it off right off the bat. We're both kind of older guys. We weren't into, basically this is what it boiled down to. We go teach our class, we go back to the hotel, pass out, get up, go to have supper, and go back the next day. So that's kind of the way that worked. But the cool thing about it was Steve and I we gelled together. We worked as a team for years. We worked as a team for probably, I think it was about 11, 12 years that we worked together. There's times when I went one direction, he went another, but we did the one class, a couple classes, we always did it together. And that guy, I called him the professor because he was just amazing. I know that all good things got to come to an end, and it ended not in a good way, but we were in Norfolk, Virginia, and we were teaching, and Steve told me he didn't feel good. He, felt kind of down, was kind of tired. And I told him, I said, no worries, we'll cover it, we'll get it done. And we left and flew back to our various locations, and come to find out he had Lou Gehrig's disease. And I think when I got that news, that was I've had bad news in the past, but that hit me really hard. And so Amy and I we drove to over to Pittsburgh, in Pennsylvania area, and we went to see him. And he was in one of those electric wheelchairs type deal, and he called it his Lincoln Continental. I'll never forget it. He zoomed around the VA hospital, and he showed us, where different things was and stuff, and we laugh and joke about the old days. And one of the things we did joke about and laugh about was that we'd have a Garmin. Yeah, okay, I said Garmin, right? It was way back in the day, and we would say on the Garmin, we would say, okay, favorite seafood restaurant or favorite steak. What do you feel like tonight? And we'd say, oh, let's try steak. So we'd punch in there steakhouses nearest us, and they'd pop up, so we like just pick one, bomb. So we'd pick one and we'd go, and we were probably about maybe 60% good. The other 40% not so good. We'd end up in places where the restaurants were closed, or in one particular incident, we were in New Orleans, and we're going along far on the Garmin, and we're lost. The Garmin's got us all over the place, and we see a police officer parked up in a little convenience store. So we pull in there and say, "Hey, can you help a couple old retired cops out? We're looking for this place." He goes, "What are you doing down here?" I says, "Well, we're looking for this restaurant." He goes, "No, you're not." He says, "What you want to do is you want to get out of here, get on that bridge, and go across the river and stay over there." Okay. And we did. So again, like I said, sometimes it worked out well, and sometimes we ended up in the wrong place. But we had a lot of fun, and I love him and adore him, and I know his wife Kathy. We keep in touch and keep in touch with each other, and it's good. So his memory is carried with me. And the other thing I like to say too with Maoli is that, and if he don't know this, he knows it now, is that he actually helped with the Lutic and me working, doing that part-time teaching thing, helped put Kaylin through college. So thank you, Tom. The other thing I did some stuff for Pennsylvania Sheriff's Association, teaching for them. Then I taught for professional law enforcement out of Plano, Texas, with Byron and Sabrina. And that kind of put a lot of the states for me together. Now, mind you, I've been to every state in the nation now. Some states I've been to 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times with the teaching. Okay, so it wasn't just this trip or jeeping or camping and that did it. So I want to make sure that everybody's clear on that. But that's where that came from. And I really, this has been such an awakening for me, not just recharge my batteries or make me feel better about myself or about life in general. And I'm not going to say it's one of those things where it's the aha moment and all of a sudden everything is just great. No, it's not. But it's an accomplishment that I never thought I would do. Again, I told you folks that I grew up on a farm, small farm community. There's, I don't know, I think I'm going to say 1,700 people in this town that I grew up in Arcadia, Indiana. Our high school, we had 500 students, and that was 9 through 12. Small community. As a matter of fact, a lot of the guys and gals that I went to high school with, or I started out kindergarten. We went to kindergarten together. We grew up together, and I still have those friends. So that's how tight this community was, and still is, as a matter of fact. But I never dreamed that I would be able to travel as much as I did. It never occurred to me that I would be placed or have the opportunity to do the traveling that I've done. And to say that I've covered all 50 states, I think for me personally, I know there's folks out there that you've done, 50 or more. Matter of fact, there's a lot of folks probably done all 50 and traveled to Europe and other countries too. But I can say that for me personally, coming from where I did, my background coming up, it's quite an achievement. I know my grandmother, her biggest dream was to go to Hawaii. And I keep saying this over and over, but you got to understand, I'm surrounded by just wonderful, beautiful people. And she was probably one of the nicest persons you'd ever meet. And she was a descendant of that area I told you about, of Roberts Chapel. She was original Roberts. She was related to Elijah Roberts, the founder of that settlement. So she was pretty well known in that community. So her dream was to go to Hawaii. My grandma never drove. She didn't have a driver's license. Anywhere she went, somebody had to take her. And her favorite chauffeur was Dorothy Sweat. And Dorothy has passed, and we miss Dorothy, but Dorothy would take grandma everywhere. She never accomplished that dream of getting to Hawaii. She never did. As a matter of fact, she rarely got to go on any vacations at all. So that part in itself, explaining it to you, makes this as great as it is for me. To be able to do some things that my grandparents and my parent that couldn't do, for me to be able to do that means a lot to me, because family to me is everything. Honestly, it's my soul. My family's my soul. If you're in my circle, you guys know this. If you're in my circle, you're good. If you're not in my circle, well, and I take care of family, and they take care of me. So I don't want to get on the mushy side of it, but I want you to understand how important this is, that this happened for me. And to be able to do this is a blessing that I will never, ever forget. It's going to be so cool too, because I'm going to be sitting in the old Narcs home, and that's my vision, to start an old Narcs home where instead of just a regular nursing home, it's just for a bunch of retired Narcs to sit around and throw beer cans out in the street and tell old war stories about how great they were and this, that, and the other. So it's going to be so cool for me to sit around the old Narcs home and talk about this trip to be able to say, I lived this trip. Not, boy, I wish I would have done this, or hey, I heard so and so did that, and so did this. I lived it. So that's going to be that's a cool thing to be able to say that. Now that I've tackled North America, I mean, I'm thinking maybe, I mean, South America, right? I mean, what the African continent? What do you think, Amy? You know what? I heard her yell no all the way from Indiana here. So I'll settle for the 50, okay? So with that, guys, I want to tell you thank you for all the kudos and all the text messages and the emails and the Facebook stuff and all of it, and watching my YouTube channel. I'll keep putting up videos and pictures and stuff. I still got a ways to go. I still want to travel across the top of Washington. I'm going to pick Amy up in I think it's 7 days in a wake up. I'm pretty sure. So we'll do that, and we want to do the Bitterroot, and I'll hit Idaho and go down through Montana and hit to Colorado. And once I get to Colorado, I got a buddy of mine I'm going to pick up or meet up with. Good kid. It's my nephew, Mitch. I'm going to meet up with him, and we're going to do some camping and hanging out, and who knows where I'll end up at before I get back to Indiana. So, guys, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate each and every one of you. And for that, we'll talk to you later.